Hey guys, here we go into a video breaking down how I think Tevin Farmer versus JoJo Diaz is gonna go. And I know the fight's like upcoming, it's like really close, like 2 days away, but this is a fight I've been really excited about. I just haven't really had a lot of time to do film study and stuff, but let's get into it. So the first thing we're gonna look at is number one, it's two southpaws versus two southpaws. So everything about the fight just means that it's a right-hander versus a right-hander. Just think about everything the same, but backwards, right? Exactly 180 degrees, right? So it's very important. You can watch this fight just like you would watch, Mayweather versus Berto, or Canelo versus Golovkin. Anyway, so getting into it, right away we're going to look at Tevin Farmer's guard, right? Is he active in his guard, right? Not really. The method that he chooses to be active in his guard and control his opponent is by punching at him. And as we've all figured out, it's a bad idea to control your opponent with punches and not feints and probes and head movement that give the illusion of feinting, right? It's very, very, very important that you feint your opponent and control your opponent and ask your opponent questions. Just don't do it with your head or with your punches, because your head has to be in a specific place for you to throw a punch, and that makes you predictable. So we've got him controlling the space with punches. Now, continuing going forward, right? Oh, this is a very interesting clip. I wanted to show this, and I'm going to be doing a video on this for my Patreon guys about technique, but. Notice that from this position that Farmer's in, he can take a step and shoot the jab and then bring his weight back, and then take that step and shoot his right hand, or his left hand rather, and then go forward with his weight, right? So that's the only difference from the same position is that you're going forward with your weight or backward with your weight, but his weight is on his front foot as he throws both of these shots. And I'm going to show you guys a trick for that, so you can kind of learn how to do that and transfer your weight really seamlessly through punches. But that'll be in a couple weeks. But I just wanted to show that and highlight that Tevin Farmer has fantastic technique. He is very, very, very hardworking when it comes to that technique and technique theory and working hard. Very, very, very talented. But getting back to the fighting, again, Tevin Farmer doesn't usually have his hands up. He's fighting primarily on the front foot. But look at how JoJo Carroll is able to feint him, right? He knows when he's in danger, first off, because Tevin Farmer, it's always when Tevin Farmer's on that front foot, right? So he can time him. He knows when those shots are coming. He's easily able to slip it, right? And then continue slipping and work his way to the inside. Whoops. To where he can start doing damage and let his hands go, right? But working his way inside with the head movement and the feinting. And you notice that it's really easy to get Tevin Farmer out of position, right? All you have to do is feint him a little bit, give him a couple different looks, and all of a sudden he's against the ropes and he has nowhere to go. Now again, JoJo Carroll, who's actually a really good fighter, doesn't have a lot of power, isn't like a big star. I mean, he's a good fighter though, you guys. Good technique, really solid. But even this guy is able to feint and get around the way that Tevin Farmer controls the space, again, right, with punches. Because he does it with punches, it's predictable and you can get around it, right? Because he's not feinting, because he's committing to the shot, he has no opportunity to actually set up another counter or do something else. So JoJo Carroll is, again, able to slip, get to the inside, and land body shots, right? Two really good body shots there. And like watching these clips, to be honest, I was like, man, looking at the scores, I can't believe that the fight was, not more competitive down the stretch, because I only watched the first couple rounds of this fight. I didn't watch the whole fight. But then I Googled some stuff and found out that it was a fight that was way closer than the card suggested, which I don't have a problem with. But, because if you give every close round to the guy you thought won it, and you thought the guy who won it was the same guy every time, you're going to have a lopsided scorecard, right? That's just common sense. It's going to be lopsided, even though the fight was close, right? If you land 30 punches in every round, and your opponent lands 25 punches or 26 in every round, you outlanded him. So you win every round, even though every round is close. So anyway, that's stupid scorecard debate. I hate when a fight's like really close and it's like, oh, it better be 114, 113 or whatever, you know. Anyway, I just wanted to highlight again that Jonah Corral, right, is easily able to get around Tevin Farmer's attacks because Tevin Farmer always commits to his attacks. He doesn't do a lot of feinting. And even Jonah Corral is able to get around these shots and pick up on every feint, right, and get around every shot, right? But great technique again from Mr. Farmer, really good. But again, Tevin Farmer shooting that jab when he's on the front foot, and then Jonah Corral is able to feint him, right? Give him a different look, and then move in, right? Now this is because when Jonah Corral is going to slip this way, Tevin Farmer doesn't react. So when Jonah Corral brings his head up, that's the same motion that he was going to make when he slips again and then comes back with this hook that Tevin Farmer, you know, he sees it coming, right? He kind of just tenses up, but he doesn't turn away from the shot, right? Or into it. He doesn't try to block. I mean, it looks like he's kind of trying to block it, but he's just caught so far out of position because he's not respecting the feints and he doesn't understand the position that he's in or the position that his opponents are in when they're in them. And that's going to be something that's very difficult for him to pick up on if he doesn't have a lot of experience fighting southpaws, because the positions are different, right? When you're in danger and when you're not in danger. And I think that he's going to be underestimating that right hook to the body. And I think JoJo Diaz has a really good one. But again, Jonah Corral able to feint and find a way to get Tevin Farmer to go first and counter him with that beautiful shot. Again, Tevin Farmer is very predictable with all his motions, right? Because of the fact that he doesn't really feint, he usually only throws punches, and his punches are what he uses to control the space between him and his opponent. So if Jonah Corral always knows it's really going to be a punch, all he has to do is just be good at slipping punches. And who doesn't practice that on the mitts, right? Everyone practices that, right? Anyway, again, Tevin Farmer, fantastic technique, right? Really sharp looking, but really predictable as well. And this is the last clip. Just another great job from Jonah Corral getting around the guard and landing that beautiful left uppercut. Just amazing shot right there. And then, you know, coming back. And that's basically what this clip right here basically encapsulates what I think this fight is going to look like. Now, moving to JoJo Diaz. JoJo, he looked like shit against Gary Russell Jr. He really did. He looked really bad. But I think he's a really good fighter. And he shows in these first few frames when he goes fighting his first southpaw again, not his first one, you know, but picking off that shot. Getting into this position, picking off that shot. But understanding what position, what attacks he has to be worried about from each position. He knows what position he's in. He knows when he has to be worried and when he doesn't. And he does a great job throughout this fight of knowing of not only having an active guard, feinting, and controlling his opponent with these head movements, but keeping his guard up and understanding how to block and how to move. And, you know, he just fought a perfect fight against this guy. And this guy's no Tevin Farmer. Like, let's not get it twisted. Tevin Farmer's he's a pretty good fighter. I don't know how good this guy actually is, but he doesn't look that great. And Diaz does kind of smoke him, but great positioning, great feinting, great understanding of when he's in a bad position, when he's going to be attacked. And him being able to create that predictability, right, or see that predictability is going to be very, very, very helpful for his fight with Tevin Farmer, who I think unjustifiably, the fight is very close on paper. I think the fight odds are even, so I would think that that's a great time to get money on Mr. Diaz. But this is going to be a big part of the fight. Notice that Diaz is going to be taking this step, right, and when he takes that step, he throws the overhand left. And I think that Tevin Farmer, because of the position that he fights out of, he's going to be very, very, very vulnerable to that shot. And just like Mr. Francesca, I don't know his name, Freddy, I think his name is Freddy Fonseca. Just like Freddy, anyway, he's going to be very vulnerable to this shot, and he's not going to see it coming. And that left hand over the top is going to play a big part in the fight. Now, Diaz also does a good job of setting his shots up. Feints him here, blocks his own weight transfer so he can get into position to throw this left hand to the body. Now, again, the positioning that Tevin Farmer fights out of, I think it's going to be a very effective shot for him. But also, remember how easy it is to get Tevin Farmer out of position, right? He'll put himself out of position with a punch naturally if you let him, but when you put a lot of pressure on him, it causes him to slip and try to roll and get out of the position, but he doesn't do it with punching, so it means that he's not dangerous. Not that he's not a dangerous guy, but because he doesn't always have the positioning correct, he doesn't understand what punches to throw from what positions and what slip and what roll, and he doesn't do that stuff, and you can see it's very evident in the way that he defends himself. It's going to make these kind of shots really easy for him to pick Tevin Farmer apart on the outside. Granted that it's not the speed that gives him trouble. But again, Diaz does a good job of waiting for those jabs. So one of the problems that this guy had is when he shoots that jab, he gets stuck on the front foot. But as you can see, the timing is very similar to that jab, right? He's on the front foot, rock forward, rock forward, rock forward, and then Diaz tries to look to land that shot. And I think that shot is going to be very effective against Tevin Farmer because of the fact that Tevin Farmer not only is very predictable with his jab, it's you saw Jono Correll, you saw Jono get around that shot every single time Tevin Farmer threw it. Tevin Farmer he landed some jabs in the fight, but Tevin Farmer's jab was the way that Jono Correll was able to even get into the fight. And I think that if Tevin Farmer has the same problem, he's going to get knocked out by some overhand lefts from JoJo Diaz. He's just so good and so consistent with that shot, constantly looking to set it up. Even if your opponent's hands are up, right? He's still throwing that shot. That just tells you that when he fights Tevin Farmer, it's coming. And again, this is beautiful. This is the most beautiful pull counter I may have ever seen. Even though he doesn't defend himself on the way out, like Mayweather does, the shot that he lands there is just so good. Boom. And he tries to do the double like Mayweather, like I think it was Philip Indu that he did the triple straight right hand to after a pull counter. Beautiful shot. But this is just a massive shot. The weight distribution is perfect. He pulls back just enough and then leans perfectly into his own shot. He could get a little bit of weight in the heel of his front foot so he could have a harder left hand. But other than that, everything was perfect. It's just beautiful. And I think that this is, again, going to be a big problem for Tevin Farmer. That overhand right, that constant threat of it, right? And then look at how he times, right, Freddie on the front foot. Flips Freddie's jab, lands a jab of his own, and then pull counters the jab and lands a left hand of his own. Just beautiful work. Just absolute brilliant boxing. And this is against a southpaw, someone, who the last time they fought a southpaw, not the last time, but when they fought Gary Russell, they got dominated. He had no idea what to do against Gary Russell Jr. No idea whatsoever. But again, the overhand left is going to be very, very, very effective. And this is basically how I think the fight's going to go, right? You see those jabs coming, Tevin Farmer's jabbing, boom! Left hand over the top. I think this is best case scenario for Tevin Farmer. Is keeping his guard, catching a jab in there, right? Keeping his guard up so he doesn't land combinations, and then eating overhand lefts right there. Or it'll go like this, where he's able to set up his own shots. And this clip right here, right? The first one where he feints him, then walks him into the overhand left. That's, I think, is going to be something that happens all night as well. I don't think Tevin Farmer is going to be able to get away from it. But this clip right here basically encapsulates how I think the fight's going to go. Just beautiful work from Diaz right there throughout this entire clip, right? Feint, walk him into a shot, walk him into another shot, feint, control him with the lead hand, catch it, catch him with the jab on the return, and then pull counter with the left hand over the top, control him with the jab. Beautiful work. Just great. And I think that Tevin Farmer just fights too on the surface. I don't think he shifts his weight or feints enough. or probes or gives different looks. He fights out of the same position the whole night. And I think all of those things are going to contribute to making it, I don't want to say like, it's going to be a stellar performance from Diaz. Everyone's going to be like, whoa, who is this kid? How did we miss him last time? Because I think he's going to have a kind of a breakout night. I'm not even sure this fight could be competitive or will be competitive. I mean, I think that Diaz is probably going to smash him unless he's too fast, unless Tevin Farmer's too fast. But I don't think that's the case. Maybe he'll learn how to fight. I don't know.